Hi, I'm Elaine Harding. Welcome to my blog stampwithelaine.com. Today is a bonus video and a 101 to showcase Stampin' Up's new trimmer. The new trimmer will come in a box like this, and when you open it, this is our new trimmer. It has a much lower profile than the old trimmer, but it hasn't got a storage facility underneath it, and that's why it's just over 1/2 inch in height. There is a hole here so that you can hang it on a hook or something by the side of your desk if you wish. The trimmer has measurements in metric as well as imperial. Halfway down the trimmer you also have the measurements repeated as well as on the bottom. The markings on the platform is 1/4 inch apart vertically, and horizontally they're 1 inch apart. This is the extendable arm. It fits in flush with the rest of the platform, and the arm also has measurements in metric and imperial, and it extends up to 17¼ inches, I think, which is an A3 size. It's capable of cutting a large piece as an A3 size. I'm going to flip it so you can see the reverse. This is the mechanism for the extendable arm, which allows it to swing outwards. You can see that there are large non-slip feet on the base of the trimmer. And on these two, where the non-slip feet are smaller, that's the feet for the extendable arm. So in order to pull it out, use your index finger and place it on to this little foot here on the outer edge, and grip it at the bottom and simply pull it out. And then it will extend in an arc motion upwards to the full length of 17¼ inches. To close it, then obviously there's no need to wiggle it or anything. You just close it and it will slide back into the housing. The other difference with this new trimmer is that the bridging piece here between the main platform and the extendable arm is that there are etched markings that continue all along, including this grey area here. There is no locking mechanism because the construction of the trimmer, there are little balls here or protrusions at the top and the bottom of the trimmer, and it automatically locks anyway. So in fact, whenever the ruler is down, it automatically locks into position and keeps your paper firmly attached to the platform, so you get a nice clean cut. So now we're going to make a comparison with the old blade and the new blade. New trimmer, the cutting blade is significantly larger. Can you see that? Oops. That's a new blade, and that's the old blade. With the old blade you had a pointer, a single pointer. You can see that on this new cutting blade it has markings on both sides so that you can easily align it with the horizontal lines on your trimmer platform on either side, and these two markings in the center aligns with the cutting groove in your trimmer. Dark grey colour depicts that that's your cutting blade, but also embossed at the top, I don't know whether it's visible, is a raised triangular bit which indicates that it's the cutting blade. And on the scoring blade, again the markings do the same job as the cutting blade, but there is a raised ball bit here to indicate that it's the scoring tool. So not only does the colour indicate what the tool's used for, but but it's also embossed. If you have poor sight, you can touch and feel that that's for cutting, that's for scoring. Let's examine the underside. The scoring tool on this is in a disc-shaped form rather than a spherical form like the old one. I'm using a pencil to trace round the contour of this track where the cutting blade runs up and down, so you can see that there's a slight opening here. I'll call it a bite. Okay, so in order to change the blade, I'm doing it sideways, so you either tilt it forward or backward depending on the position of your blade. Get the blade to that indentation there and you just tilt it. So you tilt it up and then slide it until it meets with the other section and then lift it out. And to reinsert it, you just simply insert one side, slide it, insert the other, and it's in the housing. It's that easy. So I can do it to show you again. So insert it into the groove, slide it back, and then it's in. So I've changed the blades around so that I don't get confused, because in the old trimmer the light scoring blade was always at the top and the cutting one was at the bottom. Another significant difference is that lip here at the top and at the bottom, the raised bit here where you butt your paper up to. Where the ruler sits, obviously the moulding of the platform, there are undulating bumps so that it follows the contour of your vertical ruler. Now these bumps also act as a stopper to butt your cardstock up to, so that's a fantastic improvement. And you no longer need a separate cutting platform because it's all integral and part of the trimmer. So the cutting groove is just this narrow slot, which obviously you will need to clean from time to time. The section to the right of the cutting groove is now 1/4 of an inch wider. So instead of 1 1/4, it's now actually 1 1/2. This clear vertical ruler is only in imperial measurements. It has no metric on it. To illustrate it in action, I've made these little tissue boxes. I've got these pack of 10, a bulk buy from my local supermarket. Originally I made a template. In one piece I couldn't get the whole piece of cardstock through the die cutting machine and had to fold it over, but it left a mark. But you can do it as one piece, but I'm going to do it in 2 pieces so that I don't have this problem. Also, another tip: when you're cutting the cardstock, you don't want to put too much pressure on it, because when you cut it will ruck up and you have ridges on your cardstock. Can you see that? But if you cut it gently, without putting any pressure on it, then you'll get a much nicer, cleaner cut. So I'll show you the two. Can you see the difference? This one, I put a lot of pressure on it, so it's got a ridge. This one I didn't. So you can cut one piece of cardstock at a time. I would imagine that you can cut more than, you can cut up to 3 sheets with these. That's 2. So let's double that up into 3. And now we'll try 4. it will cut through 3 but not 4. So now to do the box, remember what I said, pinch it here at the bottom with your thumb and index finger and just pull it out. Then you want to cut this at 3 3/4 inches, 2 at 3 3/4 inches. So you follow that line there. Once the ruler is down, it automatically holds the paper in place. 2 at 3 3/4. And now we want to do a bit of scoring. So the first score is at 2 1/8 inches. And the second score is at 3 1/4. So 3 1/4. Shut that. Then on the long side, I want to score at 3/4 inches, which is here. Shut that. 3/4 inches. 1 7/8. And then at 6 inches. So that's for the top of the tissue box. The second piece, which is for the bottom of the tissue box, I need it 3 3/4 inches, and the length is 6 3/8. So this is where the bridge comes in. So there's your markings on the bridge. So that's 6 1/8, 6 2/8, 6 3/8 will be there. So cut that off. Now we need to score, and the scoring for the short side on the box base is the same as the box top. So 2 1/8 inches, 3 1/4 inches. And then we need 1 1/8 inches at each end. Okay, slide that across and measure 1 1/8 from this side. Now we need to cut our designer series paper, and I'm using the In Colour 2019 to 2021 DSP papers. I need 2 pieces at 1 7/8 width. Now, because of the pattern, I need to do the pieces for the side of the box on the top and bottom of the short side in the same orientation. So let's cut the piece for this larger panel first. That will be panel template. So this is A, which is the top of the box, so we call that A, B. The 2 long panels are C and D, and the 2 short panels are E and F. So now we want to cut E and F. We want to cut A and B first. That will be 1 7/8 inches across by 3 7/8. Okay, that's 1. We need the 2 short pieces for E and F, which is 7/8 of an inch. The second piece for the box base, then we need C and D, which is 7/8 inches. Now you can see the advantages of having this second ruler here in the middle of the platform, because when you butt that up to the 7/8 inch mark, you can now also determine where the 7/8 inch mark is at the bottom here to ensure accuracy. And because this is an automatic lock, once you press that down, it holds the paper in place anyway. So long as you're butting it up to something straight at the top, you can just run your blade through at the top without having to hold the paper. So that means cutting narrow strips becomes a real doddle. So these two pieces for C and D is 7/8 inches by 3 7/8 inches. I'll just recap that. You need two pieces cut at 1 7/8 inches by 3 7/8 inches. Two pieces cut at 7/8 inches by 3 7/8 inches, and two pieces cut at 7/8 inches by 1 7/8 inches. Also need a trio punch and layering circle dies. Second smallest, a 1/2 inch circle punch. So now we're ready to cut. So you cut up, straight up on these tabs here at opposite ends. On this end, where there are two score lines, you want to cut from there up to the second score line. And then take a wedge, cut at an angle on this tab, and that's your bridging tab. Okay, you need to corner round this piece here. I forgot to press record, so butt it up and then press and butt it up and punch. So I've corner rounded the top of the lid. Then I need to cut off this piece. I'm also going to take a little wedge out of it. Probably shorten that a little bit because it's a tad long. And for the tissue box base, I'm going to do the same. Cut up to that first score line at opposite ends. Cut on a slant. Apply adhesive. Do my TSP before I assemble the rest of the box. I had a bit of an accident with the glue, it just dripped out. I ended up with great big blobs. The tissue box lid is this longer one with the flap up here. Now going to get my die and pop that through there. I'll go and cut it off camera. I'm going to make that a little bit narrower so it doesn't show through the oval aperture here. I'll put some adhesive on there. Line it up, make sure it's flush, and do the same for this side. And then glue these bits here. And press down firmly to make sure it's stuck down. Glue on here and fold it back to reinforce the base. So now I've glued that down, I'm going to just insert a 1/2 inch circle punch and do it by eye and just punch out the little wedge there. Grab my tissues, pop them in the box. They're ready to be gifted. It's my bonus project for today. So that's my 101 on the new Stampin' Up trimmer, which is available for sale now in November. Thanks for joining me today. I hope you've enjoyed the bonus project, and I'll see you next time. Bye!